Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Monday morning edition of the Moose Minute Project here in May. Yes, did a lot of yard work this weekend. Sorry about Friday. I did not get on Friday. I took the day off of work, and we definitely made the best of Friday as I was just trying to get some things settled out, taken care of. Just took care of things on Friday. Saturday, went to Iowa, Atkins, Iowa. I think Atkins, Iowa, something like that, to the Tulip Festival. That was gorgeous. Beautiful place. If you want to look for a place to take kids, grandkids, everywhere else, that is a place. They've got restaurants. They've got one. It's all right there. Games to play, phenomenal. And the Field of Tulips is unreal. Yes, this big guy enjoys things like that. On to Saturday, did a whole bunch of stuff again. Friday night, celebrated my sister's birthday, her 50th. Yes, she's younger than me by a little. Yeah, just a little. But there you have it. And then Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is when we went to the Tulip Festival. And then Sunday, we worked in the yard. I spent quite a few hours, as you can tell, in the yard. The forehead is very warm, but it felt really good to get a lot of weeds done. I still got a lot left. There's still a ton of stuff to do to get my yard to where I like it. Yes, everybody says it looks nice. It's not quite there yet, but it will be. Got flowers put out and did some things, so it was a good weekend. But welcome to the Moose Minute Project. That kind of gives you a wrap-up of that. But titled, it's a mixed bag today. I've got a good friend going through, and we went to school together. And we know each other, and we lost contact for a long time, but Facebook has one of those ways to bring friends back. And he's going through a hell of a time. So if you can put him in his prayer, his name is Kevin. Please take a prayer for him and make it better for him. I have a topic that he wants me to cover, but I've got to do some research on that and see how I want to go about talking about it. Because it is controversial. It is one of those topics that people have feelings about this one extreme way or one not so extreme way, or the take that I will take kind of blends both. But I've got to first do some research on that and come up with some numbers and kind of go through that way, because like I said, it is a controversial topic to go about. So, Kevin, I will address that when I have that together, which will be this week. I'll get it together and look into it. But it should be an interesting topic to talk about. My topic today is about all the nonsense and all of the numerical errors that we are hearing about what is being found at the border and what is life-saving events. So, if you heard what Pam Bondi had to say about the number of fentanyl pills that were captured at the border, and it's always funny that we talk about the southern border and the amount of things that they are saving us all from. Okay, so we hear the southern border, but yet, you know, the northern border is there too. However, we never talk about the amount of pills that are confiscated at the northern border that are trying to get into Canada from ours. And why is that? Oh, wait, that would make us look bad. We want to blame the other nations, south and north, for our drug problem. What if I tell you that we manufacture a lot of that around here, maybe, especially the meth houses. You know, we all of a sudden have now put all of this emphasis on fentanyl. And yet, hospitals and stuff are using fentanyl, different form or different cut, probably a lot safer under doctor use, because they've overdosed patients with certain things. So what if we are blaming the South and the North for our own problem? Anyway, they found millions and millions. They've confiscated millions of fentanyl pills. And because of that, they have saved millions of lives, all in the few days here. Well, that math adds up to like 1/3, about 75% of us all would have overdosed on fentanyl had they not confiscated this at the southern border. If you're listening to numbers, okay? If you're listening to all these numbers, and if you're not tired of hearing about big, I mean big, you know, if you can sit and watch one news program without absolutely wanting to throw up in the side of your mouth, you are better than I am. You are doing better than me, because I cannot watch the news. I have a tough time listening to the news on WRCO because of how it comes across. And then you hear clips of how distorted people are. See, I have this feeling that you can be right and you can be left and be friends with a lot of people because you're not buying in. I think the major problem that the Republicans are going to face is the face of the MAGA crew, because they are outspeaking all of you others. I am very good friends with a couple of Republicans that have said, Chris, I am more Republican because of the policies. I get that. If there were good policies, there were everything else going on, I would totally understand that. And I understand it, and I respect your right. But then they also follow up saying he's a complete fucking idiot. So we have that on that side. And then you have the people on the left that are, well, they just shut everybody out that way. So now we're not talking here. And it's funny when I ever bring up something that I don't agree with, such as cutting all the funding for mental health care in schools. So now, like, I think Wisconsin gets $10 million in grant money, and they were using that money to hire social workers or counselors in schools for mental health. So now we're just going to cut that. Because it's $1 billion. Well, why do we have to cut that? Well, probably for a tax savings for the really rich. And I don't think the really rich follow my program, so it's okay. They won't try to hunt me down or deport me or whatever. So my problem is when we start cutting those funds to show everybody, hey, look what we did. We saved you billions and billions of dollars. You're not seeing what it's doing to damage things and how important school counselors are, how important mental health is for people in high school. And it's a different kind of error now. You can get attacked and you can get taken on the cell phones. Okay, back when we were in high school, or I was, which most people following my program are kind of my age, there were about 2 or 3 different ways to handle a problem. A note was given to somebody, paper trail, paper note saying, hey, you're ding dong, I don't want to be around you, I don't like you. And that's how you asked most girls out at one point before you figured out how to talk to them instead of doing that. Then there was the other thing that most boys went about, and we had some really good fights in school, but they went nose to nose. Said, I don't like you. I don't like you. Then the fight was on. And, or meet me out there. Or if you traveled with schools and you went with kids and your town didn't like their town, which we have a few of those. Aiken CI was one of them. That was a big thing. But there again, you met nose to nose. You took care of business. There was none of this cell phone at that time. There was no way to communicate other than like what we do face to face and say, I disagree with you, so now I'm going to prove my point. So, we aren't doing that these days. We don't talk these days. If you ask people how they meet people and everything else, it's usually, oh, why do you think dating services are so big? And why do you think, because going to the bar and trying to find somebody, or going to the school, trying to date back then was different as well. You kind of had to take things into your own hands and hope for the best. And I think that's why I went into sales. Rejection was easy. Being built like me, being as athletic as I was, and as cool as I was, rejection, I know, hard to believe, but rejection was a big part of my game, and so sales became easy. I love sales because saying no to me is like, nah, no big deal. I'll move on. I'll figure out something. I've been blessed to find somebody here that just said yes, and then she said yes to marry me. It was pretty wild. So that's because I'm very persistent. But if we are going to stay here and listen to all of the crap that is spewed onto us, and to hear all the name calling, and all of the things about fake news, and all the things about everything else, and we are now going to take into look at all the fentanyl, and then look at all the lives that we saved. Do you really think 75% of us would have died had they not confiscated those pills at the southern border? I have a kid that's a deputy, and I'm not sure if I can get my hands on the hard kind of stuff I need, but I also know I don't need it. I know there's plenty of it around Richland County, so I'm taking it that if Richland County then says, well, Iowa County, I don't like you because of all the fentanyl coming from your county into ours, or Grant County coming into ours, well, then I'm pretty sure La Crosse County hates Aiken County because of all the fentanyl going north into La Crosse through Highway 14. And we don't like Milwaukee County because that's where it starts. See what I'm getting at? We are passing the buck instead of taking responsibility for our own action. See, I don't believe, if I remember right, and this might not be, my memory, I'm 50, I may be getting old. But when I went to the U.S. National Bowling Tournament that was in Syracuse, New York, we came around through Canada and came in, and U.S. Border Patrol was taking care of that side. So I have to believe if you're and I've never traveled to Mexico and tried to go through, because those lines when you watch like catching drugs at the U.S., at the border, and finding smugglers at the border, whatever, those lines look ridiculously long, and I'm not patient enough to probably do that. So, but I'm pretty sure that if you're coming from Mexico into the U.S., you have to find, you're going through there, that's U.S. border agents. So, where are us? Oh, that's right. It's coming probably through that mountainous terrain where we don't have that fence yet, or the border wall. Or they're coming from planes that we can't shoot down. I don't know. But blaming a country besides ours for our drug problem seems a tad ridiculous. See what I'm getting at? If you have a drinking problem and you drink all the time or whatever, is it the bar's problem or is it your problem? Just curious. Is it a gambling problem? If we all have gambling problems, we should probably shut down the casinos because it's their fault. It's their fault they offer those kind of things. So we should probably tariff them too, or whatever it may be. See, I think we tend to blame other people for our problems. It's been going on since kids were little. They blame parents. They blame how they were raised. You know, I have people that I know very well that are still blaming their parents for their issues, and they're 50, 60 years old. If you are in your 60s, and you are blaming your parents yet for how you were raised or the issues you're going through, I think it's time to maybe take some changes. And if you have been through anything else that, you know, it's kind of like blaming the cops for getting pulled over for speeding. If you are going to get pulled over, and then you say, well, if the asshole cop that pulled me over wouldn't have pulled me over, I would have been fine. You don't want to say, well, I was going 75 in a 55. It's much easier to blame other people than take the blame yourself. That's where I'm at today. So make sure, if you would, please put Kevin in your prayers for me today. Also, if you have a chance to bless somebody, take the time to do that today as well. But like I said, I will have a program this week. I've been asked to do it, so I will look into it and research it. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I thank everyone for tuning in today. It's going to be a beautiful day here in Southwest Wisconsin. I know I'm getting older because I just got shorts on for the first time this year. And yeah, we're in our 60s today and 70s tomorrow. And yeah, as you can tell, eyes are red, allergies, weeding, all that stuff. So we're doing well. But everybody have a great day. And if you want to get about it, just blame somebody else. It's the easiest thing to do. Or make up numbers. And that'll make your life better. You know, I keep thinking I've got $1 million in the bank. The bank disagrees with me. But it's okay. So you guys all take care. I will be back tomorrow morning with another edition of the Moose Minute Project.